I'm from New York City, just like you guys, and there's a cavalcade of bands that were successful. Some of them not around years later, like nearly a decade later. I could name like the Strokes, new bands like Highly Suspect that all of a sudden blew up in the past couple of years. My question is that especially what drives you now? Let's say you receive a certain of attention, fame, and wealth from it. Do you think your driving force will diminish, or would it change theoretically with your music as it goes along?
Well, I mean, it's hard to answer that question because you don't know. Like it's so hard to know what will happen when you get to that bridge. I know for me, I have an idea of what I would do when that happens. Because besides just the band, I also founded and run a nonprofit organization for music education for classical guitar, to put music programs into schools, and teach our youth the same message that we're giving here in Salvia. We do it through an educational way as well, because our mission is to develop leadership, self-sufficiency, and life skills through learning the classical guitar. The music making is just the bonus part of it all, but it's about making sure that not that we tailor, but that we expose our young kids, our people, about a way of thinking, a perspective that a lot of us are blinded to, or are never exposed to or taught. And so if wealth comes and millions of dollars start flowing in, then I know what I will do with that money. But again, that's just an idea. Nobody can tell the future. Maybe I'm in some shit. Maybe I owe the IRS millions of dollars that money will have to go to first. So
I did not notice that.
But the idea is that we never know what can happen. But the one thing that I will always try to remain is as humble and as real as possible, and not forget where my roots come from.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm a father of 3 kids, so it's a little more personal. Well, I don't want to say more personal. I guess it's the same. But it's just an example. I mean, I want to be able to one day say to my kids, listen, there was a time that I wanted to do this, and I did it. And it's there. You can see it. And it's more like you said, it's more like about life than say, if wealth or whatever, fame, whatever comes out of it, it's going to be whatever it's going to be, and then we'll act accordingly. Depending on how much money we have in the bank. So, we might not know you by then, Harris.
Oh yeah, step on the little people on the way out. And I am little. I'm only 5'6".
Oh, the guy who interviewed us? Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, I remember.
So
me?
here's a question that basically a lot of people, even in the interview space, they don't really ask, or they try to make assumptions for. So from a lot of influence in music, a lot of people try to attribute it to substance, some type of substance, to kind of help out to lubricate the music process. Yeah. I know you're looking at the liquor, but in all seriousness, like, how much do you believe that's actually an actual truth versus what they're actually feeling at the time?
Do not ask that question.
Got to. I told you I was going to give you a hard question.
No, I love this question because at the end of the day, it's relative. It is relative. It depends on the day. It depends on the mood you're in. It depends on the atmosphere that you're in.
Depends on the amount.
Shut the fuck up. But I will tell you something. When you're at it by yourself, with good old Glenn over here,
Yeah.
it's not the same as when you're at it with Glenn and another person here. And the reason why we have shut the fuck, man. This is what you're looking at. But the reason why he's here is because not because of your good looks. You're right.
No.
But it's because
Those days are long behind you.
It's because there's something that happens. It's not saying that it's just the alcohol that does it. I'm just saying. Like, we already have a great dynamic as it is, a great relationship. He's like a brother to me, and we see eye to eye musically. However, when we are under the influence of Glenn, we tend to like strengthen that, but it bolsters it a lot. Now, I'm not advocating for being an alcoholic and doing this. I'm not. But, however, like, I'm not talking about getting obliterated either, but it's just a matter of it does help the creative juices a little bit. I'm not advocating for it. It affects everybody different. That's why I said it's relative. However, there are days, like, for example, earlier today that I was drinking water only, and I came up with what I think is a great song. So we'll listen to that later and see if it really is. But yeah, you know,
Yeah,
good
it's
old
always
Glenn.
good old Glenn.
Silver is
always
not-
comes
not-
in.
First time I ever heard a rocker saying he was inspired by water. That's a great song.
Hey, quote him.
That
It may
might
be
be
the
the
most
first.
famous quote.
It's
I
here,
was
it's
inspired by
here.
H2O.
Only Salvia does things differently.
Green tea only.
We're run by green tea.
Hey.
Chamomile.
Also, on your first sponsor is by Arizona. 99 cent. Jeez.
Fuck, man, don't play with me. That RX Energy tastes mad good.
Yes, you're correct.
That herbal tea shit.
All right, keep asking questions.
99 cents, motherfucker. The best thing in the world.
Yes. For a minute, you made me laugh my question off my head. But it does happen because that's Leo's special power.
It is.
Douchebaggery.
Yes. Is there any song in this album that you want your audience to automatically be hooked on first time they listen to, or you hope to be the one that kind of exemplifies your entire album
All of
at first time every single time? Like, you know,
All of them.
you can't always say like every album is completely listenable, because even the greatest bands in the world, you can't say, oh, this album was 100% on point.
Well, of course.
But is there any song right now that you're trying to predict that be like, you believe that will connect with your audience every single time they listen to it?
Well, yeah, The Hill. That's the reason why we released it first, because The Hill kind of embodies what the message is and what we are trying to do musically. Obviously, it doesn't contain as many of the elements as possible, but that's where the wild ride comes in, because you never know what to expect. But The Hill contains the heaviness plus the heavy sound of the music plus the message that we're trying to portray. And The Hill,
The melody.
it's about, the melodies and all that. It's about The Hill is mostly about just pushing forward, persevering. You know what I'm saying? The three things that I do abide by and our organization abides by is patience, persistence, perseverance. Which is 3 P's, yeah. And it really makes a difference in what we do. You know what I'm saying? Because as a musician, we learn that. We learn that when you have to learn an instrument, you have to be patient, because you're not gonna roll out of bed and just be able to learn it and be able to be great at it. You know, you have to be patient in your craft, in your practice, and learning it. Then the persistence of it, meaning every single day you have to put in some hours of practice, whether there's no immediate gratification. And then persevering, obviously, is when you achieve what you want, but there's still so much more to do. You know?
Yeah.
But that's literally what the message of The Hill is that the hill that you guys drove down today, that's the hill that I'm talking about.
I thought The Hill was about your fat ass trying to go up the hill.
A little bit, but still.
I feel
I'm trying to make this positive, motherfucker. Trying to make this deep.
I'm
dumb
pretty
fuck.
positive I'm the fattest person here, and that hill is not a challenge.
Yeah, but you don't have to take the hill every day.
Once upon a time, I did.
Well, actually, yeah.
forgot.
There's a whole history of
Little known
corner.
fact. Even though I'm from Brooklyn now, I used to be from Washington Heights.
Yes,
So
yes.
if you want to lose weight, live in Washington Heights, go up every hill.
And I think we used to meet in a place not too far away from here, like a block down.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, back in the old days. But that's another conversation.
Yeah, I don't want to say the name of it because it's going to be taken down.
For me personally, I don't have a favorite song. I think I like them all. I think the one that surprised me the most was "Man I Wanna Be," just because when he first presented me the song, I was like, "What the hell is that? What are you doing?"
I do believe that's probably the best one I listened to all day.
He already has a fan. It was a very, for me personally, when he showed me the arrangement, I was like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, this is gonna be so hard to pull it off. Like, even live or whatever, it has like this weird, I don't know, it's weird you'll listen to it when you listen to it. But surprisingly, I think it came out, if I can say so myself, I think it came out pretty well. Knowing the challenge that we had when he first presented me the song, and I was trying to, help him out, see what the hell we were gonna do with the song, and we just kept coming back to it, and eventually it clicked, and and it is what it is now. And I think that shows you part of the mental hill that we have to also go while we're writing songs. That whole thing of not giving up on an idea, then it turns out, and you're even surprised yourself. You're like, oh, that actually turned out to be okay. Doesn't suck.
I do agree with Man I Want to Be. That was the toughest song on the record that we wrote. Just because it's stylistically,
there are more technicals.
It like we spoke about before. It drives a lot of R&B feel. It's a big R&B feel. Like there's like 12 chords that we're playing for the verse itself. Each like consistently. Like it's not like it's very. It follows that style. You know what I'm saying? And it's a style that I really appreciate. The style that I really love because I grew up on that too. Then also vocally, it was really challenging. I've been working on my upper register for quite a while now. I never taken voice lessons like that. I just go off by ear and just do the best that I can. I don't consider myself a singer. I consider myself just a person who does the best they can for the music. I don't even know what the fuck to say to that, but definitely.
Speaking of which, to me, it's a little bit of a point of contention, especially when I listen to music. I know nowadays a lot of people like to scream. Yeah. One of the things I noticed, there's not a single bit of screaming in this album, which I do appreciate.
Only when I'm sick.
No, I heard you. You didn't scream. Yeah. Your voice cracked a bit, but that's fine. That may have been 4 beers in. I give it a pass.
Everybody's a critic.
But being a person who, as you say, you're not trained. Do you believe, like in the genre of rock, does screaming have a place as a tool, or is it something that is being overused over actual musicality for the track? Like, for instance, I have a contention with certain bands that are they're all bands that they start out with screaming and they end up toning it down. Yes.
Avenged Sevenfold,
and keep in mind, I do like most of their songs. I just hated when they first came out and there was a lot of screaming. You guys are completely away from that. But do you believe that screaming is a tool that should stay in rock, or is it something that has a very specific place and should not be overused?
Well, actually, that's a really good question. My philosophy on the way vocals are used is that everything should be a tool. Everything should be used in a certain way to get the message across. I don't believe me personally. I don't believe a whole song should have the whole way through. But if it requires it, then you do it. You know what I'm saying? Some of the stuff that we're doing for the full length record does contain some of that, but it's not the whole song. Okay. Everything needs to have, again, going back to purpose. It needs to have a purpose. Why are you doing it? What are you trying to get across from it? And a good, I guess you could say pop group or whatever. I don't know what to classify them. 21 Pilots does that pretty well. They actually do have some parts that he's screaming, and it fits. Yeah,
yes, 21 Pilots. It's a duo.
Yeah, it's a duo. So you're
pretty good duo.
Off. But
listen to some music, Leo.
Yeah, no, they're actually pretty good. Yeah, get the fuck out. No, you don't. Get the fuck out of here. Riot, he's your biggest fan. But anyway, I give him the respect because of the fact that they incorporate a lot of styles, and again, he uses the screaming as a tool and certain things to portray a feeling and emotion and a message.
Correct.
And so the same thing with Salvia. For me, obviously, when I was younger, I used to be big into like black metal. That black metal, death metal were my shit. And so I thought that music, rock and roll, should just be that all the time. But as I grew older, actually, even after high school, I kind of toned down a little bit in terms of just I want people to understand what I'm saying. Not saying that people don't understand death metal lyrics or anything like that, because I can hear. I know there's sometimes I can hear them clearly, but the idea is that I want people to resonate with what I'm saying and not have to work too hard to figure out what I'm trying to say.
But let me say something referring to that what you're saying. It's different. We are a bass rock band that use elements of metal. We're not a metal band per se. So when you use any kinds of vocals or any kinds of lyrics, like we don't use demonic lyrics, we don't sing about swords and sorcery or stuff like that, because we're not a power metal band. So
Yeah, you're not Rush.
exactly. So we don't the high pitched stuff. There might be some high pitched, some back in the back of the vocal somewhere. And I think the song that is actually more vocally aggressive is "Given," and that doesn't. It does have some sort of screaming, but it's not the purpose of the screaming. It's not to over to pull you back, like to impress you, like to oh my god, what. It's more an emotional that comes from the point of view, from the context of the song. So we don't use that much. I think we don't use any screaming on the album per se, because we're not that kind of band. But per se, if we were that kind of band, yeah, we will use it, and we'll be great at it.
Ginger, man.
Or do you have any upcoming tour dates?
No, at the moment we're not, because we're focusing on just making sure that the record comes out cleanly and we're marketing it properly. One of the things that I've noticed playing in the other bands and also just playing in general in New York City is that there's a plethora of music out there. Yeah, it's a good band name, right? Anyway, but the idea is that there's so many bands out there, there's so much good music out there, and everybody's like, yo, come to my show, come to my show, come to my show. Now, that approach to me just doesn't make sense anymore, and I want to try this different approach, which is release the music out to the world, market it as hard as I can, have people connect with the music first, so that way they can eventually just be like, you know what, I want to see these guys live. How are they live? I want to, I want it to come out of them, not me saying, yo, can you come to my show, please, so I can sell these tickets? No, fuck that, man. And it seems to be a big thing nowadays with music, with the music industry, and I get having to play out and get your fans or whatever. But then we fucking
I'm not trying to
play the shows.
Convince anybody.
If we see a lot of demand for it, then we'll
if
go
you
and play the
fucking
shows.
feel
But
it,
I'm not
you
gonna waste my
join
time
us,
lugging all this
become part
fucking
of this
equipment
family, and you
for
help
to
us
play
out
for
and
3 people.
help
Though
out
we
in
value
return,
those 3 people,
with
but
whatever
at the end of
value
the day,
we
then
bring to you.
we get screwed over from the venues. We get screwed over from the promoters. And there's so much bullshit that comes bureaucratically from that, if I said that word right. But there's so much bullshit that we deal with on the business side of things that if there's not enough demand, it's supply and demand,
Yes.
So let's be realistic, and if people want to see us live, then let us know, and we'll make it happen.
So for the people who want to listen to your music, where do they need to go to?
They can go on every single digital platform.
So
that's
you're
out
on
there.
Spotify, you're on
YouTube, Deezer, Tidal. We're on fucking Apple Music.
SoundCloud.
We're on Bandcamp. We're on SoundCloud. We're on every fucking thing. So there's no excuse as to why you can't even stream our shit. You don't even have to buy it. Just stream it. Just connect with it and just fucking just bust a nut to it if you need to, and that's it. Just be a part of this shit.
So,
that's all it is. You know what I'm saying? No. I'm some real shit.
Yeah.
No. Hold on 1 second. I love you too. But the thing is, the idea here is that if you don't connect with the message, you don't get it. You're not ready.
Yeah.
But you have to be ready. You have to be ready here. And for those who don't want to even attempt to be ready, that's cool. Just do your thing. But for those who are ready, join us. And you will not be disappointed, because you are part of that ride. And your message that you're trying to convey to people, we will be your vehicles to do so.
Oh, I just want to say that when we first introduced ourselves, we didn't say what the hell we were doing in this crazy ride. Well, he's the singer, guitar player, and main songwriter, and I just help him co-produce. And I also do all the funny little pictures that you see back there for the album covers and all the other crap. And I buy the liquor.
So at a certain point in this video, it'll be edited. There'll be little tile screens under here, and here.
Oh, I did not know that. The power.
Yeah,
of
so
media.
you'll see our Instagram accounts or
Get my
Twitter
name right,
or whatever it
goddammit.
is. You have the easiest name here, man.
But
Be like, oh yeah, it's Harris, but your name's Harus. It's Harris.
Make my balls. make my letters bold and sexy, please.
so just so everybody's aware, the the pre-orders are going to be available this Friday. We have everything coming out. The Hill artwork, the funny little pictures that you see.
Yeah.
If you pre-order, you will get one of those artworks made originally by this man over here, who's extremely talented and sees the vision.
Get a nice little print.
Use it as a coaster, you stupid. But like the idea is that we want to provide our fans with value. We want to provide our people with value. And whatever it is that you may want from us or you may need from us, you just got to let us know. Closed mouths don't get fed. We are not mind readers, so if anything, if there's anything more that you want, just let us know. Just send us a message via our Instagram, our email, the phone call.
Which will be somewhere down here below.
Yes. It was somewhere down here below.
If you need somebody to do your laundry, the rest of the band will send them over there.
But yeah, the pre-orders are available this Friday. They'll be up and running. And the album drops September 20th of 2019.
So there you hear it. That's where you get it from. There's Salvia, lead singer, producer, art guy, drinker, fat guy, guy who talks.
He's a teddy bear. He's my teddy bear.
I'm so lonely.
Anyway, guys, you know
See
where
you
to
around.
find us. Salvia Rock.